my Godspell.
I'm a dress and boots kind of gal, and my director knew that, so that's where my costume is.
I'm also loving the up-close look at, like, all of the goings-on up here.
Isn't that neat?
This is cool.
It's all glued down, so you can't really use it.
Oh, no stealing this, like, vintage necklace over here?
No, she's tied down. I tried that a lot.
So, Lindsay, Broadway debut, Grease.
Yes.
Am I right?
You are.
Were you on the TV show, or was that separate?
I was on the very last episode of the TV show. For those of you who don't know, they cast Danny and Sandy on a reality television show called You're the One That I Want. And I was hired before they even started that reality show. So I knew I had the job like 10 months before the show happened. And so they had all of the Pink Ladies and Peepers on the last episode of that series. So we were all there when we found out who won. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. And what do you remember about the very first night you were on Broadway, for real?
I remember being really terrified. and kind of, it wasn't as like dream-shattering as I thought, because I was so nervous, and you're working so hard, and then you're like, oh, that just happened. Like, you know, it's not till you're there, I think, like 2 months, and you're like, oh, I still have a job, and I'm still doing this, and I live in New York City, and I'm working at this address.
Yeah, because you were, what, how old at the time?
I don't want to say, Julie, but I was. No, I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite an accomplishment.
I was super stoked.
Yeah. And you played Jan?
Yeah. I did.
Very fun.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And would you have thought that Laura Osnes would go on to do the variety of roles that she has gone on to?
Is that not incredible? I mean, she was amazing day one coming in. She was so great, and we were like, you deserve to be here 100%, and she has proven that, like, 4 Broadway shows over.
Yeah, if you don't know Laura Osnes, she just got done with Bonnie and Clyde. Before that, she was in the Tony Award-winning revival of Anything Goes. I got to see her do Nellie Forbush in South Pacific, and that was what really wowed me, because the Grease thing was like, okay, that's fun and cool, and you were on TV and Grease everybody loves, but tackling a really weighty role like Nellie, that was just, I was blown away by her.
Yeah, and she was here last week.
Oh,
yeah.
Broadway family.
You know, we support.
Now, the first Broadway show I got to see you in was Everyday Eruption. You guys saw it? 4 people saw it. That's great. I loved the story of that show because it had this great off-Broadway run, but then it surprisingly got this, like, 11th hour chance to be on Broadway, all because another show had to drop. And it was a big scramble for, like, what can go in its spot now that this is suddenly canceled, and, you know, get in for those Golden Tony Award nomination deadlines and all that good stuff, which was good that happened because it was nominated. But anyway, tell me more. That was just such a fantastic show.
It was so cool. I mean, I got that job like right after Grease closed, and it was amazing. Working next to Sherry was incredible.
That must have been like a master class.
It really was. Like, I'll never forget, like, the first day of rehearsal, we had like a read-through of the show. She had already done it, so she was just kind of got to do a read-through for Betsy and I and Ian and the other little boy. Bye, you guys. They're going home. Well, thanks for coming. And she came in like with like a hat, like a beanie on, like over her eyes, and like didn't really talk. It was like 10 a.m. and you know they're like, okay, Sherry, you know we'll just give them a little bit of what the show's like. And she's just like, okay, you know, really super quiet. And then she like opens the book and she's like, and Tom Kit starts playing, and then she just like melts her face off, like melted my face off at 10 a.m. No crickle crackle, not tired. Yeah, I'm like, I have nothing, and talking like, you know, and Marette, and this woman can sing anytime, anywhere. She's incredible, and the whole experience was. If you don't know, we're talking about the amazing Sharon Renee Scott, who's also in Aida, many other shows. I think her debut was This Is Tommy. It was. Yes, and then she did Grease as well, so she's a Grease alum too. But
more bonding.
Exactly.
More bonding.
But it was totally awesome, and I got to do it twice. We did it off Broadway at Second Stage, and then a year passed, and we ended up doing it on Broadway with like 4 days to rehearse and 1 week of previews, and we opened. It was insane. And I was supposed to do another job. I left it at the last minute to do it because I was like, I'm not going to miss doing this show with these girls. And,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome. We ran for like 4 months. It was great. And I think it might happen again, possibly. So we'll see. We'll see. Don't quote me, but I've heard rumblings of other experiences of the rapture.
Great. That's great to hear. And that's another one that got a great cast recording.
Yes, we did.
So I love cast albums because it makes the show live on forever.
Yeah. Although it's never a closing line. I mean, we recorded the cast album when we did the off-Broadway show, and the show changed a lot on Broadway, and those didn't reflect on the recording. But, you know.
Yeah. At least there is one.
Yes. Very true. Very
true.
Well, she owns that label, so she's going to get
it. Better be an album. I know. Same thing with Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Totally.
I was like, if this doesn't get an album, then Sherry's fired from her own record label.
Yeah. They always make an album, and they do a great job.
Yes. And her husband, Kurt Deutsch, and Sherry started a label called Ghostlight Records, and it's such an important label because I feel like a lot of records that wouldn't get done otherwise get done because there's two passionate, musical theater-based people who care enough to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, which is great. I'm going to ask Lindsay some about her road to Godspell, but I hope that you're thinking of your very own questions. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I would love to have some questions from you all, having just seen her perform in Godspell. I hope you have some burning questions for this fantastic lady. So, talk about Godspell. What was it all about? It was the easiest audition process ever.
Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't. It was so hard. It was so hard. You had to come in, and they gave you 3 different parables that you could choose from. And they said, okay, so pick a parable and perform it however you want, but don't use the text that we give you. You need to come up with your own text, bring costumes or props, or musical instruments. Anyone else you can bring somebody else to be in it with you. You have no time limit, and we just want you to come in and wow us. And that is terrifying for an actor to have no limitations. Like, all you want is some sort of, like, guideline. Yes, or direction. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was really like, I'm just not going to do it. And a lot of people chickened out and didn't go in. Yes, because it was, the cast just seemed so mammoth. And some people were like, I rented a harp, and I'm bringing it in, and I got costumes made, and you're like, I was like, I'm not going to go through all of this. And so I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it, and I knew
it's a Broadway show. It's not worth it.
Well, no, but I mean, when you are auditioning for a million other things, or you're working another job or something, it's like it's a lot to think to spend a lot of time on. So regardless, don't take a note from my book, but I will tell you that I came up with this the morning of my audition. I was like in panic mode. I'm like, you're going to embarrass yourself, and so I was like, what do I do? What can I bring to the show that like nobody else can? Like what is special about me? What do I think I can give? And so I was like, well, I like to make songs, and so I decided to turn mine into a song, which I ended up doing a cappella because I was going to try and get someone to accompany me, and then I was like, I'm going to just do this on my own. And so I basically rewrote The Good Samaritan as an a cappella jazz song and performed it with scatting and all that garbage. And Danny humored me, my director. He was like, that was great. And then I sang my own song, and then I got called back, and for the callback you had to come in groups of 5 with different people that they paired you with, and they were like, you guys, here's the prodigal son parable. You have 20 minutes, and here's some props, and you need to use these props, and we'll see you in 20 minutes. And you're like, nice to meet you.
Oh my God.
Who had an idea? I mean, and you're literally, it's, again, like, crazy, and the props are not, like, practical props. They're, like, a tissue box empty, and 1 shoe, and a stuffed pig, but, half open, and a Coke bottle. Like, it's like, you're like, what are we going to do? And, so, yeah, I had that.
How much to the trash, right?
I mean, literally, it was like, I came up with this So it was like each, like, you know, Stephen Torres was like, oh, this, oh, great, you know, and like, everyone I was like, this would be funny, let's see what they can do. So we did that, I did that parable with a group of 4 other people, and then they had me come in and sing Bless the Lord, and I did, and
Is she not phenomenal?
Thank you. Yummy, like a meal. Like a meal. That's yummy like a meal. Yeah, put that on your like full quote. Yummy like a meal.
Serious success. Yummy.
Lindsay Mendez
is.
I'll put that in one of my websites. But I finished that. I heard we really are interested in Lindsay, but we can't give her an offer yet. And then I waited 2 months and kept getting that answer, like literally day after day.
Oh my gosh.
And I was working with our director at the time on another project.
Oh, that was comfortable.
Yeah.
That's really.
And I didn't want to say anything, you know, because I'm like, if he knows that I'm supposed to get it, then he'll tell me. And you know, the head games that go down. I mean, you have no idea how many nights I'm like, he didn't like me today, I didn't get it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, oh my God, he plays weird. I know. Today's the day I'm going to hear I didn't get it.
Side of his eyes.
Exactly. I mean, and this is a man that, like, I'm friends with, and, it was so hard. And
did you have any other jobs that were, like, hanging out there?
I did. Yeah, I had another job at the Old Globe. I was going to go do a show there, and they were, like, waiting for me, and I was putting them off.
This is what we call a luxury problem.
Well, I mean, you know, I was lucky to have that, and but I was very, very frustrated by the end.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back, and then they called, and they were like, we need her to come in again.
Oh!
I was like, don't make me play theater games. I really can't do another round of theater games. And he's like, you have to play theater games. So I went in again, and this is like, we're talking, like, this whole process was like almost 4 months long. And I went in again, and George, the guy with the glasses, was in my audition that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we went in, we auditioned, I sang Bless the Lord again, and I sang Turn Back a Man. And I was like, that's right. But tried my best. And then they waited another month to call me. So, you know, as the story goes, it all had to fall into place the right way. You know, if someone was being cast in another role, then I could be cast. If that person didn't get cast, I maybe couldn't be. It was all a big, huge puzzle. And I didn't believe it. Like, I started to be like, Annie, like, I don't believe you that I'm going to get to do this. Because, you know, I've grown 5 years. And so I finally heard, like, one great morning that I got the show. And, yeah. And then it was the, like, oh, man, now I'm like, doing Godspell. Like, now I'm going to play theater every day, and now I'm going to live up to this incredible score, and, you know, what's the cast going to be like? And, I mean, it was insane, but that first day was incredible, and this company, we have a ball putting this show together, and I'm so lucky to be here, and it was worth the wait, I have to say. A million times I would have waited for it.
Yeah. I think it's so great because in our age of, like, instantaneous gratification, reality show, mania, we have this sort of fantasy going, I think, as the public that, it must be so nice and it's easy and, you know, not that you don't work hard, but just, you know, the average person to know this kind of story of what went into Lindsay's road to this very stage that you just saw her on. Isn't that great? Bravo. Bravo. Anybody have a question for Lindsay? Oh, front row. Gotta go with the front row. But I'll be there. I may not be able to get a mic to everybody, but that's okay. We're loud people, right? But what do you have to say?
I just wanted to know how you keep your voice so healthy. That's how it's on.
Amen. You know, she has her days. I mean, I think the voice is like a muscle, and I'm telling you, like, the first 2 weeks of the show, I was like, I'm not going to make it. I mean, I went home every night like, you have nothing left, it's gone. And then every day as you keep doing it, it keeps getting stronger, and, you know, I try and rest as much as I can, but I don't, like, not talk all day. I don't do anything like that, because for me it's like, I need to talk all day so I can get to this place. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm a base, and it takes me a good couple hours to get her up there. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've been training since I was very young, and but yeah, I mean, the show is rough, and like by Sunday night, like I sound much better Tuesday, I think, than I do Sunday night after that 5-show weekend. You know, it's just like cross your fingers, see if you make it.
It's an 8-show-a-week stamina, much
Yeah.
like an athlete, I've learned.
Yeah, it's just, I've never done a Broadway show where I'm singing every song. And we're all on our own harmony parts, so you can't just like wing it. You know, you have to be full out.
Another question? Yeah? Speak loudly.
The stage is like a minefield out there. I saw you pitch your cowboy boot on the trampoline.
Oh, did you know?
Yeah. Have there been any exciting moments because of all the holes in the stage?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the stage is a bit treacherous. You know, there was a lot. We had to work really hard to make it as safe as possible. That water at the beginning, when we first did that water, they didn't want us to use towels, so we used these mops.
Oh, God.
They just pushed water around, and we were rolling around just soaking wet, like soaking wet, slipping, like, you know what I mean, like falling. So that was really fun, but we've got that under control. The trampolines, they're a gamble every night. I'm going to be honest with you. We have tramp call every day at 45 minutes till places where we're allowed to come around. Tramp call, we get every step 15. Tramp call, tramp answer, we come down, we jump on the trampoline, and, you know, kind of get our bearings on them. I didn't do it today. That's probably why I'm not you know, because you're like, you get cocky, and you're like, oh, I can, and that's, I get really like, I'm like, I've got this, and I can really start to get high and do tricks, and that's when you go down. And I've got these huge cowboy boots on that are, and you can't see, I've got this skirt I can't see, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, your frame of vision and that's
There's nothing really I can't see. No, I all like look.
Can't see with feet.
And originally they had me in shoes like this with the heels. We got to the trampoline in tech, and I was like, no go, Mayday. I mean, Mayday, ankle breakers. So
Yeah.
then I got cowboy boots, which I was grateful for. But
There have been ankle breaking.
yeah, there have Morgan, who sings Turn Back a Man. She sprained her ankle during tech, and she was out through opening night. She hurt herself so bad, and it was terrible. And so after that happened, it was like really sobering for all of us, and we're like, all right, everyone, I don't care if you bounce like 2 inches off, it's fine, like, be safe. So I think people are always aware, very, very aware of what we're doing on there.
Anyone?
Yeah.
I have a very enthusiastic gentleman, and then we'll go to the lady in blue.
Oh, just when coming to New York, after how many auditions did you get your first Broadway?
So just in case people can't hear, the question was, how many auditions before you got your first Broadway show? Hard to count, probably.
Yeah, probably 100.
100.
I mean, I lived here for 6 years before I was on Broadway. But I don't equate Broadway to, like, success, because in my opinion, it's like an address, and I did some really awesome stuff before I got to do Grease, and I have gotten to do some incredible stuff after Grease that was not here. And in nicer theaters in other cities, you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, I'd probably say I've had, 80 to 100 auditions. I mean, I audition quite a bit and get told no.
Okay.
So,
Wanted to know.
yeah.
Good question.
I want to know your background from the beginning when you started.
Oh, okay, yeah.
a little girl?
I grew up in Southern California, and my dad is a politician. He's the mayor of my city. And my mother was a baton twirler. And my dad used
Like a for real professional
yeah,
majorette?
like fire batons in my front yard.
Wow!
So
For like a professional sports team?
no, she taught baton, and she she was a majorette in high school, and then she ended up teaching baton in Parks and Rec and stuff, and that's what she did.
Because that can be a job.
Baton teacher. How cool is that? Yeah. So she taught baton, and anyway, they love musical theater. My dad used to play guitar and sing, and So, you know, when I was like 3 years old and saw Annie, I was like, oh, it was done, it was over. And my parents really supported me and threw me into dance class and singing class, and I did like regional theater little shows out in California. And then when I was in high school, I went to the Orange County High School of Performing Arts for musical theater, and I studied there for 4 years. And then I decided to move here and give it a shot. You didn't do the whole like college or conservatory? I didn't go to college, yeah. It just didn't feel right. I spent 4 years in the conservatory already, and I was like, doing another 4 years in the musical theater program just made me want to get out of So I just thought, let me see what I can do, because I would love to go to college still, but not for musical theater. I think I would like to do something totally, completely unrelated. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, and then I moved here, and, you know, been lucky.
I'm going to try to sneak in just a few more questions, so we'll kind of do a speed round. We don't want to keep you here all night, but I do want to get to as many as I can. Yes.
With all of the like blocking and choreography, how much of it was like specific direction, and how much was like playing theater games and just figuring out where you all wanted to go?
Yeah, none of it. There was very little that is like blocked. Like, Lindsay, you go here. I mean, now it is because we were lit that way. But when we were in the space, it was like, oh, who you ended up next to. Like, it was like, oh, great, I'll be here. There's no front. Right? So it didn't really matter. It was like someone's always going to have their back to someone, and always going to be facing somebody else. So yeah, it was very collaborative, and you know, the choreography, some of the numbers are very staged, you know, like Bless the Lord is, you know, of course, like very calculated, but there's other things that aren't, you know, and we just kind of go with flow and have fun.
I want to give some equal time to this part of the house. I saw your hand right here.
You talked about where you came from. You're still young. Where in that whole possible world, where do you want to go to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I mean, I can say, you know, I love what I do, and I want to do it forever. As far as working here in New York and doing musicals, I love it. I have a jazz band that I sing with, and I love doing that. And we're
performing with like tomorrow or Thursday, right?
Tomorrow? Yeah.
Okay, tell us, because if you're in town or you don't have anything to do tomorrow.
Yeah, we're performing at Joe's Pub tomorrow night at 9:30. My jazz band. We do pop songs in like an acoustic jazz style, so we kind of take more current stuff, and it's me and a pianist and bass and drum, and so anyway, I love doing that, and I would love to like tour with the band and make records and do that too. That's a big dream of mine, and something that I can really call mine. As you know, theater is always a gamble, and you have so little power or control, clearly, you know, every 4 months, you know, like, I mean, and with the band, I think you have a little bit more say, and so, you know, that's, in an ideal world, I'd like to kind of live a life between those two things, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What's it like working with Stephen Schwartz?
It's awesome working with Stephen Schwartz. He is a really wonderful man, and he loves this show so much. It was his first show. So he's so attached to it, and it's so special to him. But he's so open for you to, like, you know, bring yourself into it, and I sat there, like, the first time I sang my song, once I got the job, he and I performed it somewhere. I mean, I could have died. I could have died. I had to go to his apartment, and he was like, okay, I want to say hi. No, this is like just recently, I mean, right before we started rehearsals. And he just sat down and was like, okay, what key do you do it in? And I'm like, I think the regular key, I guess. Dang it. And I just fell out. I mean, and I still do. And recording the album with him, like, it's just really extraordinary. And he loves this production so much, and he believes in it. And I just couldn't be prouder to work with him. And he's just pretty awesome, I guess. That's all I can say. That is very cool. Yes, right here in the front row.
I was just wondering, there was this production that didn't happen,
yeah.
And there was this production. Is there any crossover between the two?
Yeah, well, it's the same director, it's the same creative team, and three of the people, Feliz, who plays all the instruments, and Uzo, in the leopard pants, and Telly, in the suspenders. The three of them were supposed to do it in 2008. Oh, and Morgan too, I'm sorry, Morgan as well was going to be a swing in it then. But yeah, they were all hired, and then it didn't happen. So yeah, so there's a little bit of crossover, but I think the idea of the production changed a little bit, and so not everyone was right for the show 3 years later. You know what I mean? It was a different kind of grouping, I guess.
Or maybe had other jobs by then.
Sure.
Or,
Yeah, a million reasons.
Yes, all the way in the back.
I'm just wondering, with the costumes, what do they all mean, and what do they mean to represent?
Well, the idea of the show is that we kind of show up at an abandoned theater. That's why, like, they have these big, old lights and stuff, and those costumes are supposed to be, like, costumes in an old theater that we found laying around, and kind of we're just, like, mixing, matching, putting them on. And we're like, look, I made an outfit, and that's what they're kind of supposed to mean. One last, who's the lucky, all the way in the back here.
You said you got told no a lot of times in your career. How do you cope with that?
You just have to. I'm so used to, I realize that, like, all I can do in there is go in and be me and show them what I have to offer, and if I'm not right for that show, I know that I'll be right for something, and I don't want to compromise what I can bring that is unique and special. I'd rather someone want me because they want me singularly, you know what I mean, to do the job. So it doesn't really bother me if I don't get something, because I'm like, it wasn't right for me, and everything has always worked out the way it should. I really wholeheartedly believe that, and that makes it a lot easier to go in and be told no a lot. And then that's a good attitude. That's a really good attitude. I mean, otherwise, why do it? My mom, my first audition, I went in when I was like 7 and auditioned for something, and I didn't get it, and I started crying there. Like, they were like, thank you, little girl, and I, like, spit me out, and I started crying. And my mom, like, grabbed me and sat me down, and she goes, if you cry, we're not doing this ever again. Ooh. She was like, it's supposed to be fun. Ooh. If it's not fun, we're not doing it. I know, she was right, but I'm so glad she did, because that, like, really, like, cured my attitude. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't cry over it, whatever. It is what it is, and I'd rather do some awesome stuff.
A really great casting director that I know said something that I'll never forget for any aspiring performers in the room. It said, you can't think of it as a rejection, you just think of it as them choosing something else.
Sure.
Like when it's Wendy's, I decided to have Wendy's, you didn't reject McDonald's, you just chose to have Wendy's today. So, that's very good, really. Yeah. Okay, I lied. Bonus round. We have one last question from this young lady right here. I'm dying to know your question. When you're practicing for the show. How do you remember all those words? It's a lot. I still don't. I only have like 4 lines. Thank God. But you do it every day. We practice every day, and slowly you start to get to know them, and sometimes they leave you, and you hope they return. But yeah, it's a lot of just over and over again. I mean, we've done the show over 100 times now already. So, woo! Yay! That's exciting. Don't forget, like I said, their cast album is phenomenal. So good. I highly, highly, highly recommend. And if you're like me, just basically a theater geek at heart, it's a great way to keep your memories of tonight alive, because you'll carry the show with you. And Lindsay is at Joe's Pub tomorrow. That's joespub.com.
What's the name of your band?
She's Lindsay Mendez and Marco Padilla, who's a jazz pianist that I play with. So just look for my name. You'll see my, weird picture on there. Be sure to follow Godspell on Facebook and Twitter. They're very easy to find. And me too. I'm on Twitter. Lindsay is on Facebook and Twitter. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. What's your stuff? Lindsay Mendez. Easy! My silly Julie James has been hijacked by someone who's never even used it. So now I have to be Julie_James. But I would love to hear from you on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to follow the show. Thank you guys so much for staying up.